claims. And I think of this idea of a questionable claim or a questionable premise as fitting along this continuum between obviously false claims and obviously true. There's sort of a broad spectrum of types of claims out there. And I think lots of people like to think of the world in black or white terms, true or false, either true or false, one or the other, no middle ground. But I think there is a healthy middle ground between true and false. There are all those claims where we're not entirely sure whether they're true or false. And I just want to label those questionable, and I think that amounts to bad evidence. Our evidence should fall more along the right-hand side of obviously true. Oftentimes, our conclusions are questionable, and we're trying to offer obviously true premises in support of questionable conclusions, so we can show that we can turn that conclusion from questionable to true in our minds. Anyway, back to this Dane-Cook argument. Some of you might have also noticed that there's another problem with this argument. Premise 2 is false. I don't think it's true that all tools wear jeans. I can certainly imagine somebody who's particularly toolish making the decision that I'm only wearing cargo shorts now for the rest of my life. That would be a pretty toolish type decision. So it's not true that all tools wear jeans. There's probably some people we would classify as tools who refuse to wear jeans. This argument does have a good structure, and notice also that this argument has a true conclusion. This argument is still overall bad. This is a bad argument for a true conclusion. Let's move on to argument number 3. Premise 1, all hipsters are lame. Premise 2, all lame people are fugly. Conclusion, all hipsters are fugly. Let me try to define these terms before we evaluate it. I don't know if you've heard the term hipster before. There are a lot of them in Philadelphia and New York. Here's the Wikipedia definition of a modern-day hipster. It's a young person with interests in non-mainstream fashion and culture like indie rock and indie films. Usually, hipsters also associate themselves with specific kinds of fashion statements like particularly gaudy sunglasses, skinny jeans, scarves. They like things like fixed gear bikes and messenger bags. The men will wear ironic mustaches. They'll live in hip sections of the country like Williamsburg and Brooklyn or Portland, or the really hip sections of, maybe Center City of Philly, these sorts of places. If you haven't heard the word hipster before, no big deal, but if you have, you know what I'm talking about. Another word in this argument was lame. It said all hipsters are lame. Lame in this sense means not cool, boring, uninteresting. And I'm guessing you've heard fugly before. This is, it means, I can curse. It means fucking ugly. I also like to think of it as like fascinatingly ugly. It's that extra special high level of ugly where so ugly you can't look away. Like a train wreck. You want to look away, but you can't. It's that style of ugly. All right, so going back to this argument, that might help you to try to evaluate whether you think this argument's overall good or bad. All hipsters are lame. All lame people are fugly. Therefore, all hipsters are fugly. Okay, you probably came to the same conclusion. This is a bad argument because both of our premises are questionable. Premise 1, all hipsters are lame, is definitely merely an opinion. It's one of those questionable claims. Some people like hipsters. Some people don't like hipsters. I think the word hipster is generally seen as a derogatory term. You're not going to see lots of people who self-identify as a hipster walk around saying, I'm a hipster. It's usually one of those kind of insults people throw at other people, but there still are some people who self-identify as hipsters, and I know some of them. I'm friends with some hipsters. I don't think they're all lame. I like a lot of them. I think that's one of those negative stereotypes. I'm not a fan of stereotypes, so anyway. And premise 2 is at best questionable. Maybe it's downright false. I don't think there's a correlation between being boring and being ugly at all. In fact, I think there are a lot of lame people out there that are the opposite of fugly. They're actually quite attractive. If you've ever had that bad first date experience where you were initially attracted to someone, then you got to know them a little bit more on a first date, you found them to be the most boring, uninteresting, uncool person, that would be a point against that premise that all lame people are fugly. All right, so we've got bad premises all around. Note again, though, this argument's structure is good. We are given enough information, even though it's questionable information, to logically get us to that conclusion. All right, so a lot of these arguments up till now have been focused on checking the truth of these arguments. All of those three arguments passed the structure test, but failed the truth test. And just notice, it's a general lesson, there are two separate ways to fail the truth test. You can offer downright false premises, that fails the truth test, or you can offer questionable premises. Most of the arguments we'll be dealing with in class won't be giving us downright false premises, but we'll be getting lots of questionable premises throughout. Now let's turn to structure and see if we can figure out a little bit more about that. Here's a fourth argument. It's about me. Getting a little self-centered now. Premise 1, Sean is from New Jersey, Sean being me. Premise 2, some people from New Jersey are male. Conclusion, Sean is male. Now, do you think this is a good or a bad argument? And specifically, why do you think it's good or bad? All right, so this is a bad argument, and this is an example of an argument that fails the support test or the structure test. Notice we do have true premises. I think I told you in class that I am from New Jersey. That's true. It's also true that some people from New Jersey are male. But that is not enough information alone to figure out that I'm male. From the information given, I might be a female from New Jersey. After all, premise 2 only says some people from New Jersey are male. It doesn't say all of us are male. And so that presumably means that some people from New Jersey aren't male, are female. And for all you know, I might be one of those females from New Jersey. If you didn't know anything else about me, except for the information in this argument, you would not know that I am male. If you hadn't met me before, if all you knew is that my name is Sean and I'm from New Jersey, some people from New Jersey are male, for all you know, I might be a female. There are females who have the name Sean. And this is an important thing. The conclusion here is true. Our premises are true. That looks like a classic example of a good argument. You said nothing but true things. This is the idea of bad structure, though. The true things I said in support of my true conclusion aren't enough for us to figure out that the conclusion is true. You happen to know that I'm male for some other reason, presumably because you saw a picture of me or you saw me in person, and you have good genderdar, you're good at detecting who's a male and who's a female, and you magically detected from my beard that I'm male. That's a reason for thinking that I'm male, not because I'm from New Jersey. That's a bad reason. Even though it's a true claim, it's bad support for that conclusion. All right, one final argument. It's about me again. Premise 1, Sean is human. Premise 2, all humans are mammals. Conclusion, Sean is a mammal. Good or bad argument, and why do you think it's good or bad? All right, this is a good argument. Why? Well, it passes both of our tests. It has true premises, I am a human, and all humans are mammals. And this argument does have good structure. This info is enough to figure out that I have to be a mammal. Since all humans are mammals, and I'm one of those humans, I must also be a mammal. This is a classically good argument. So note that in evaluating arguments, the only ones we're going to call overall good are those arguments that pass both of these tests, that pass the truth test and the structure test. If you're a little bit confused about structure, that's pretty common. Most people struggle to figure out this idea of structure or support. That's why I'm going to devote the entirety of the next lecture. It's a short lecture, but I'm going to devote it to figuring out structure in more detail. All right, so have a good one. I will see you for lecture 4.